Alright, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
So what's up viewers? Back with me again. My name is Pratama. So right now, it's finally the time. The final project of English class. Now, it's only been a week left before we go home. So I hope that I can get this over with by finishing my final task here. So in this moment, I would like to present to you about a country where we were born, where we live in, where our parents are born, and where we met all of our friends, and the country that we are living today. If you live in that country though, I don't know who you are, to honestly. And now, let me present to you to the country of Indonesia. So, this image right here, as you can see, this represents me, or basically the Yaf. Everyone brings the flags of Indonesia. Now, Indonesia is our country. We need to remember on where we live in. And the flag that we have is red and white. No matter what time it is, it's day or noon, you must remember and put on your hands that you live in this beautiful country of Indonesia. So, you see here in the background, there's lots of trees, and the view are so beautiful. It's in the noons, and you saw on your right, there are many places to go. You don't have to go outside of the country to go abroad to see a beautiful view. In this country, there's also tons of things that you might know, recognize that you have tons of things that you haven't explored. Well, that's how I describe this picture. The next one is the capital city of Jakarta. Now I heard some news that we're going to move from Jakarta to another place. I think, if I can recall correctly, it's in Kalimantan. But this is what Jakarta is right now. You see all those tall buildings, which represents that Indonesia is a developing country. It's currently developing, and inshallah will be developed. It will be a developed country. You see, back in the day, it was not always those tall buildings. Those tall buildings doesn't exist. Indonesia was not like this back in the day. But as you can see right now, in the night time, in the beautiful night sky, all those lights, those orange lights coming from the building, and all those things that you see right now was from your heroes that caused the Indonesia to be independent, and you need to be thankful to them. Alright, now that's about the city, on how Indonesia is currently developing itself as time goes on. Well, let's talk about some other things, shall we? Alright, and the delightful taste of nasi padang. Now, Indonesia has its own food culture, and I myself really like to eat. Well, that's the negative side of me. You see in this picture, there is a rice and a chicken, a burned chicken. If you ever taste nasi padang, which of course I know that you have tasted already, if you never, you should try it. It tastes very good, actually. And yeah, there are vegetables, and there is something called sambal, which makes the cooking spicier and makes your tongue hotter. Well, me and myself, I don't really like sambal though. Alright, that's for this image. And for the next part is, remember when I said you don't need to go abroad to see a beautiful view? There's also similar things in Indonesia that you haven't recognized, that you haven't explored yet. Indonesia is not only in Jakarta or Bandung or Tangerang or Bogor. There are many islands that you haven't explored. Well, let me present to you a place called Raja Ampat. As you can see by this view, this is Indonesia. You might not believe this, but it is. You see, all in the right side, there's a sun rising from the sky. And in the left side, you see the fishermen with their boats are trying to find fish for their livings. And right in the middle, you see tons of trees that is empowering the world and generating oxygen for us to breathe. And you saw from the top mountain, in the high place, you see all of this, and you still remember that you are in Indonesia. And this is Indonesia indeed. And not only that, how about we talk about arts? We've talked about cities, we've talked about foods, we've talked about places like this. Well, let me introduce you to the beauty art of batik. Now, batik is a type of art that is originated from Indonesia, and you see, back in the days, the people really likes to make those kind of motifs, which makes it unique for me. Now, I myself is not an art person, so I cannot actually describe the art or the meaning of it. But you see, the two person here, they were actually women, so I blur out their faces because they're not wearing hijabs. It's not from my religion, so it's not allowed to show it to you guys. But if you notice something here, that they were making the arts manually by hand, by their own tools. And it took tons of times, of course, to make this manually, to make an art like this. You might see this oftenly in uniforms, basically. Well, that's kind of boring, isn't it? We've talked about the old things that is purely, we talk about the old things, while like the places or the cities or maybe the foods, those already exist a few years ago. Am I right? If I don't tell it to you right now, you probably already know about that because it already exists. Now, let me present it to you again. Let me show you this. The revolutionary of technology in Indonesia. You see in the background here, there is a Gojek, a driver waiting for orders. Now, if you see back in the day that where we use, where there is no smartphones, internet hasn't introduced yet, we need to find a place where the driver gathers around to go somewhere. And you need to tell exactly to the driver where you are going to, because there's no maps, there's no Google Maps. And you cannot stand by at your location to get a driver. You need to walk to the driver's station, to the ojek's driver basically. But now that technology has advanced more and more, Indonesia is also revolutionizing the use of technology. Now, if you want an ojek, if you want a driver, you don't need to go into a station again, to the place where they gather. You just stay where you are, open up your phone, go on Gojek, and order the driver. And the driver will get the notification from their phones and pick you right up, like what this image is showing. Waiting for orders in the background of a nice sky, with a beautiful, colorful waterfalls. Well, let's talk about the governments, right? So, this is the government of Indonesia. As you see, this building was actually called the country castle. There's the symbol of Indonesia here, which is Garuda bird. And our president is Joko Widodo, and Joko Widodo and their cabinets, which, if I can remember correctly, is the working cabinet, Kabinet Kerja. Basically. And he's actually a pretty good student, a pretty good president. I really respect for everything he did. Alright, and Indonesian people are really friendly. If you see all of those foreigners flogging their vacation in Bali, well, you see that the Balinese are friendly to the people. And when we wanted to communicate with someone that we don't know, it's actually very comfortable. You just say hi, and it felt like you're talking to your own brothers. Because we have something called a motto, a motto that's called unity in diversity. So no matter who you are, no matter what language you're talking, no matter what color you are, from what race you are born with, from what limitation you are born with, we are still one Indonesia. And the Muslims. Now, Indonesia is one of the most largest Muslim community. And you see that in many places of Indonesia, there is at least one mosque no matter where you go. And there is someone praying inside of it. Of course, basically. So you see all of those people, the Yaf and the Ustaz is giving a lecture, I guess, if I can recall correctly. Well, this is from my own place, basically. And they're learning about their own religions. And which is why Muslim is one of the most growing Muslim communities in Indonesia. Alright, I think that's all from me. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope this presentation is useful to you. That's all from me. I'm sorry if I have many mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes.